most athletes report that it's not been effective for them. So what happened over the last few years was that I was going through a lot of goal setting research, literature, and I thought I'd combine and use something in common. And that's what I did for this particular athlete. So I'm just going to take you through a particular case study that worked really well for my para athletes. So the evolution of goal setting, I'm sure most of you know about this. Goal setting was never really a sport, skill training. It was more in terms of organizational psychology. So it was C.A. Mays who initially in 1935 even found out, or rather spoke about goal setting during the British War. And after that, Locke and Latham formalized the goal setting theory, which all of us know, and that's one of the most commonly used theories as well in sport. And it was adopted to sports psychology only during the 1980s. And the truth is that ever since 1980, I think there's been a lot of theories on motivation, but not really many in goal setting. The moment we think about motivation, we only think about goal setting. We don't think of anything else, right? And the other side of the story is that goal setting can actually be used to help out with other skill training as well. For example, attention control, just better emotional regulation as well, because it gives us a better goal-directed behavior as well. So that's when it was used in 1980s in sports psychology, and after which, currently, in the recent years, I think many people have started researching on why goal setting has not been effectively used in sport. Why is there only one or probably a few theories only in terms of goal setting? And the reason is that there is a gap between intention and action. So we all intend to do things, our athletes intend to do things, they set goals, but there is a gap. There is a gap in terms of following up and actions and reviews and everything. So it was Bird in recently, which was 2023, 2024, that spoke about integrating processes, context and feedback. I think it was more of an isolated process earlier. Now we speak more about integrating processes and context as well. So that's how goal setting has evolved over the last few years. So the science behind the system. So what was the system I kind of developed? What did I integrate? So I used three different concepts. One is the goal setting theory that I just spoke about. Goal setting theory, the key concept over there was to set challenging, specific goals so that effort also increases from the athlete's side. So this actually provides some sort of clarity and direction as well for the athlete to start working on things. The next theory, as we all know, self-determination theory. Three concepts over there: autonomy, competence and relatedness leads to sustained motivation, and of course that ensures a lot of internalization and ownership as well. Habit formation, of course repetition and automaticity. It was more about making sure the athlete is able to do this on an everyday basis so that the goal is not really far-fetched. So the case, I have used this particular concept that I developed on multiple athletes, but I think this is a very successful journey because it's not just that the para-athlete actually won a medal at the Paralympics Paris 24, but also there were a lot of changes in the duration. So I started working with this particular athlete in 2022, beginning of 2020, so end of 21-22. And back then, this particular athlete, I think one would consider him as a probable for the Olympics, Paralympics, right? So national level para badminton athlete, very good, been a world champion for probably 2 seasons. And the only problem was because it came so naturally to him, there was inconsistent training adherence. So the athlete did not really adhere to training. There was a lot of tantrums thrown. Again, this athlete was just 18 years old. So he had high motivation, but did not show up to training every single day, right? There was a lot of emotional volatility, and of course before competitions, the body language he would show also was very obvious that it would go up and down. Limited support, the reason I'm saying limited support is that there was limited support to sports psychology sessions, structured sports psychology training, back then before he joined the sessions and the training as such. But he did have access to a physio, SNC, athlete manager, of course a really amazing coach as well, but had limited support when it comes to sports psychology resources as such. So the 5-stage architecture, so it started out with a baseline assessment. So when the athlete manager reached out to me, I conducted my own baseline assessment. I used the PPI for this. Very simple one, nothing to do with motivation because motivation was not the problem. So I did not, although I did use self-determination theory, I did not get into the layers of motivation that actually comes with it. We initially during the baseline assessment, I usually do set goals with the athlete, but in this case, we also had a collaborative goal construction because I had the entire team with me. So I remember we had a 2-hour session where we had the manager, the SNC coach, the physio, the nutritionist, all of them speaking and guiding and helping the athlete as well. So the athlete started by saying, you know, his desire, his particular performance goal, and we helped out with the entire process goal structuring, which is what is written there. So defined actionable, measurable process goals. I'll walk you through how we set process goals in the next slide, but this is what it was. And on this other side, so this was on one, one aspect on one side. The other side, there was a lot of REDT integration. There was quite a bit of psychological skill training otherwise, which was about emotional regulation and all of that. And finally, constant review and adaptation. So every 3 months we would change our process goals. Every 6 months we would review our performance goals. So that's how it was working. From vision to behavior. So we started setting, of course there was a desire. The target was to qualify for Paralympics 2024, and the performance goal was to just win a medal over there, whatever medal it is, right? Process goals, again I'm going to walk you through that in a minute. There was habit loops also that was created, and I'm going to walk you through that as well. So behavioral goals across domains. So this is the process goals that I was talking about. I had divided this into 4 categories, which was physical, technical, mental and lifestyle. So I would always tell the athletes to set 2 goals in each for the next 3 months, right? We broke down the performance goals into yearly goals, so that was easier. The process goals, 2 physical, 2 mental, 2 technical and 2 lifestyle was more, short term. So it was only for 3 months. It was only for a quarter. So every quarter it would change. And after they set the process goals, they would write down their own current reality. So this gave them it was a very reflective activity. Of course, the entire team was there, and the athlete is usually very, very comfortable with the entire team in this case. So, of course, speaking about the current reality made them reflect on where they actually stood, maybe even review the performance goal in that sense. After the current reality, we spoke about the obstacles. Why is it not happening right now? So if you're aware of this is where I need to be and this is where you are, why is there a gap? Is there an obstacle? It can be as simple as I'm not interested, I don't like it, but speak about the truth over there, because then it's easier to find out workable solutions. So once that was done, we set some workable solutions. So of course we brainstormed all the possible solution options and then came up with workable solutions. And for the purpose of time, I hadn't put all of those in the slides, but I think I can take a minute to explain since we do have time. So in terms of workable solution, I usually weave it into their everyday habits. So let's say, for example, an athlete does not have the time to journal. Maybe the obstacle was no time, right? Maybe they have this habit of waking up early in the morning and just sitting and sipping their whatever, maybe water, hot water, whatever it is, right? Or pre-workout drink, whatever it is. Taking their book at that point and journaling would have been a good idea. So things like that, small things like that, we weave it into their everyday habits, and that's what happened. We saw drastic change in terms of the results as well. So I'm going to get to that in a minute. The other forms of mental training that I had integrated was REBT, of course, the PET-left imagery, and mindfulness. So this particular athlete really liked to visualize and really enjoyed visualization sessions. So we did have PET-left as well, and a lot of mindfulness training, because on court he was not really showing the best body language. So again, using that, I think it really helped quite a bit. So what happened? So first of all, from being inconsistent, this athlete showed signs of being consistent, then became extremely consistent, and then started achieving a lot more. So I think achievement was always there, but to believe that he could achieve a silver medal at the Paralympics, I think that was a massive thing for him. So I'm not, if you look at this slide, I haven't written about motivation at all, because motivation was never the problem, right? Confidence increased by 4 points, emotional control increased by 5 points, attention control increased by 5 points, visualization increased by 6 points, and training adherence, which we, basically the coach takes attendance, right? So that's how we got to understand that the training adherence also had increased by 80%, which is massive, right? And the outcome, Paralympic medal 2024. Habits were maintained consistently over 12 months, and coaches of course reported stronger accountability and resilience. So it's not that this athlete did not get injured, he did. Over the course of 2 years, he did. And it's not like there were not any downfalls at all. There were matches where he couldn't win, he couldn't really do things, right? But the constant review and going back to the goal setting sessions, the combined sessions with the entire team really helped. It helped with the morale and the support as well, and I think that's what really worked out for us. So in summary, why beyond the goal? Why have I written beyond the goal? Because it's not about the goal. The goal is just to help the athlete get some structure, get some form of just something to work towards, right? But then what actually is more helpful here is the structure, the autonomy, and the habits that come with it, so that it becomes more sustainable. I think I've seen a different form of my athlete currently. In fact, after the silver medal, we all thought he would be happy. But the thing is, yeah, he was happy, but he said he needed to achieve a lot more. And I know he's been training very, very well, very, very hard for 2028, right? So that's the whole thing. Collaborating on goal constructions. Usually it's very isolated. We work in silos. The other team actually sets their goals together, and then the psychologist sets goals separately. But I think the more we collaborate on goal construction, the better it is. Because at the end of the day, habits are about adherence, are about liking, right? It is more psychological than anything else, right? So collaborating on goal construction. Of course, integrating other tools, so it cannot be done in isolation. We need to be follow that up with cognitive tools, other tools as well. It need not be just REBT. I keep saying REBT just because I work with REBT, but it can be anything else that actually works for each of us. And constant review and adaptation. I think that works out really, really well. So yes, beyond the goals lies the systems that sustain success. So it needs to be systematic, and that is why this entire presentation, I call it beyond the goal. It's not just about the goal. Yes. Thank you so much. Any questions at all?
Amazing presentation, Keertana. Like what you mentioned, collaboration, right? Did you face any kind of challenges when it comes to, or have you faced, maybe not in this case, but other one, when it comes to actually getting people to open up about their goals as a coach or as a sports science team with you? Because sometimes what I feel is that everyone wants to work in silos.
Absolutely. I think you're absolutely right. There are very few cases where I actually get to work with the entire team. It's actually a privilege and a luxury to work with the entire team. It's not something that we see every day. I have used this in isolation. It depends. It really depends on the athlete and whether the athlete wants everyone to be present, right? For this particular athlete, it just worked out because he was friendly with everyone and he really enjoyed working along with everyone, so there was no issue as such. But there have been cases, or rather, that's more the norm. The norm is to not really work together. So what really happens in that case is that either I get just the athlete manager and then the athlete manager really conveys. But in cases where the athlete manager is not there and the athlete independently comes to me, so this was the organization that reached out to me. So if the athlete comes to me independently, then I work only with the athlete, and the athlete ends up communicating with the other sports science team. So they do the work of speaking to the sports science team, getting the SNC, fitness, physical goals, mental goals, technical goals, and all of that. So that's how it usually works. But yeah, here there was a privilege of working with the entire team, so that really worked. It does work. So with younger athletes also, they're very curious and they really want to improve. So they do actually go and speak to their coaches and ask them where to work. There have been cases that the coaches have not been really open. So in that case, we just changed the methodology there. Yeah, I hope that answers the question. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, this was really insightful. Thank you. I want to just learn more about the last part, the review and adapt.
Yes.
So you talked about like injury happening in between,
Yeah.
or like I like the reflection part you mentioned where you sort of do a reality check, sort of like where
Yeah.
you are with your goals. So what did that look like in this process? I feel like that's one of the hardest pieces with goal settings, like you set them, and
Yeah.
then the adaptation over a period of time.
Yeah, so the structure that I had created and that worked out well for this particular athlete was that I said, so although we had our goal eyes on the prize, which was Paris 2024, we had to break it down as 2023 and 2024 because it shouldn't be overwhelming for the athlete, right? And what we did was the process goals would be broken out for 3 months. Every 3 months it changes. So once every 3 months, we would either do an online meeting or an offline meeting where, see, all of us work in different places. We work in very different geographies. It's not like the athlete was with me all the time. And it's not like the athlete had the SNC or the physio all the time working with them. It was more of a online thing. And although the goal setting was done on offline, the reviews can be done online as well. So we can all get on the same page. So every 3 months, I would call for a meeting, and mostly the athlete manager would definitely join. There have been times when the physio may not be joining because she would have other challenges to take care of, or maybe she's gone for a competition or whatever that is. But mainly I focus on the athlete and the manager being present, and anyone else who's there. For example, the coach attended maybe the main goal setting session, and then the 1 year review, maybe the 6 month review in between, but nothing other than that. Closer to Paris, we had a lot of sessions as well, but not otherwise. So yes, so that was that help?
Yeah.
Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, perfect.